not put a name because I'd leave somebody out and I'll be in big trouble then. The wonderful meals laid on and the entertainment. It's really a magnificent venue and great to see everybody together. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Sister Helen. I think I've said enough now. I'll go to the whole lot.
We now come to a very important part of our programme of events this evening, the moment that we've all been waiting for. That is the launch of our commemorative booklet. When we talked back at committee some 6 or 8 months ago about producing a booklet, the question of who we would get to launch it came up. And needless to say, it was the unanimous decision of the committee that we would ask our very good neighbour, a man that we are very proud to have living in our community, who has brought great honour and glory to our area, to our county, to Fena, to Glostermin, and that man is none other than John McGattern. I know from being around the locality, John is a wonderful neighbour, and we're truly delighted to have you with us today, John. So without any more talk on my part, I hand you over to John to officially launch our magazine.
Mr. Chairman, Father Doyle, Sister Helen, ladies and gentlemen, past pupils, all. Now my favourite lead from speech is by my friend, late Councillor Faulkner. And he was running for election, and they told him the safe topics to go for was education and health. So he learned a great deal about education and health. But when it came to the evening, he got tongue-tied when he looked at all his friends around him. And he put the microphone into one pocket, and he put the notes into the other pocket. And he said, "She is all know me here now anyhow." And he sat down to rapturous applause and got elected. So, in fact, I think there is something ridiculous making speeches to people that they know well, since the speaker will always be better known than his words. I wouldn't advise anybody here to get up this evening on the kitchen table to make a speech to his family. Now, I think we belong to two strains, to nature and to man and woman. Now, nature has its laws, and I think that everything that's man-made, whether it's the wheel or the airplane or schools, has a history. And I think that it's wonderful that the history of these small schools that we all went to are being remembered and celebrated. Because, in fact, we have no right to a full life of our own unless we can be said to have broken bread with our dead. We cannot know who we are until we know from whom and from what we have come. And I think also that these local histories are much more important than the great histories of state, because they are closer to our lives and they speak to us more intimately and vividly. And this book, this marvellous book that I read in the last 2 days, is full of that vivid speaking. Now, I have just 2 small complaints. I searched for my favourite local sentence, which I think is a poem in itself, and couldn't find it. And it's about Fenaville. And it describes the weather, internal activity. And the sentence is, there wasn't a haycock safe for a mile around in the month of July. So I think it would take a great writer to better that sentence. My late and dear friend Bowley Woods used to say it with a great ring. He'd say, John, he says, there wasn't a haycock safe for a mile around in the month of July. Now, there's a well-known story about a Scotch woman who was given a present of the dictionary. Now, you know the Scotch are very careful people and they don't like to waste anything. So she was very delighted to have the dictionary. In about a year's time, people asked her what she thought of the dictionary. And she said the dictionary was wonderful, that she read every word, but that she had difficulty discovering the plot. Now, my only difficulty with this book is that I could find no villains in it. So I came to the conclusion that no villains ever went to Glostermin. And I think that's another great tribute, and I blame it entirely, my displeasure blamed entirely on Mrs. Rinn. And it's, of course, a great honour and delight to have her with us today. Now, that said, is that it looks very little and it reads marvellously, and but a great deal of work went into this magazine. And I'd like to just mention the names and of Frank Bucking and Mary Bridget, whose house they had, and all the members of the committee, and all the people that contributed to the magazine. And what I had been reading was Mary Kate Heaney, Manus Murphy, Mary Bridget Keegan, whose confirmation dress came from America, John Patrick Monaghan, Thomas Murphy, John Francis McManus wrote a marvellous piece about Graham School, Mary McKiernan, James Rinn, Frank Bucking, plenty about farming and sport, and about Francis McGarty, Patsy McGarty. There's Gerard Keegan, Sister Helen Keegan, Jimmy Joe Donnelly, Angela Rinn, Mary O'Keefe, my own neighbour Jerome Donnelly, who wrote about torturing people cutting oats, and Mary McGovern. And I think we should thank them that they so honoured themselves and us and the locality and the school in producing this magazine. I congratulate them and ask you to do so.
I think I have a great nerve to stand up here, but however, this was part of the price of this weekend. I was nearly beaten into doing this job, much against my will, but however, we all have to have some penance at some stage. Thank you, John, sincerely for your words. Thank you for being with us today, and as I said earlier on, we're truly honoured and privileged to have you in our community, to have you among us as a neighbour and as a wonderful ambassador for Leitrim. Thank you. I'm not too sure you didn't find the villains in the book. Certainly, if you had been at our committee meetings throughout the year, there were lots of descriptions of villains, and you did refer to your neighbour and football in the Oaks field. I won't make any further comment. I know there are lots of villains here today from my own time. Maybe I'm haven't fully lived unless we have broken bread together. I would certainly say that is true of Glostermin people, of Fela people, of Leitrim people in general, because no matter where you travel, I don't think you'd find the good spirit, the kindness, the hospitality, the generosity that you find in this area. It's absolutely tremendous. There's such a sense of community, of helping each other out, and that's my memory from my childhood when the hay was finished in your own meadow, you went in to help the neighbours, and hopefully that will continue. So again, John, thank you sincerely for being with us. Now, we do have some entertainment lined up down the road here in a few moments, but before that I just want to remind you, some of you may have come in late, and for those of you who have, the exhibition of, from a past year I suppose, is on display in there in the classroom. Now, I suppose that just doesn't happen on the day. A lot of people have put a lot of work into bringing out their very prized possessions from their antique stores in their attics, in their houses. And I have to say, all the people on the committee and their friends and spouses were extremely generous in giving us this material for today. I think it's a lovely memento of our past, and I sincerely want to thank them and all of those people who entrusted all of those things to us for today. So thank you sincerely for that. And in a sense, it was easy enough for the rest of us who live locally to come to our meetings. She had to travel from Dublin for all of the meetings. And going back to possibly last September, or maybe, I don't know, the June before possibly, Thomas Murphy referred to meeting Angela and her mother in the graveyard. Well, I got a phone call one day, a message left for me to say Angela phoned, and I hadn't a clue who Angela was. And then the phone rang again, and this was the query: what about a reunion? So this is the end product today. So thank you again, Angela. It didn't happen without great personal cost. I'm very aware of that, and we appreciate it. Now, I have mentioned the exhibition of old memorabilia, but also I know there's one section in there, two sections in fact. First one, I'll mention that people have been drawn to instantly. When we were working here for the past few days, we didn't get much work out of some people because it came in and it got stuck into the back wall, and that is the register. And Sister Anne Rinn has spent many long hours. She's not a member of the committee, but she has put an enormous amount of work into researching all of the material that you see on the back wall there today. It looks lovely when it's up, it's beautiful, but an awful lot of time and energy went into that, and I just want you to know, Anne, we do appreciate that. It's a record, it's our history, it's our past, and all of us will spend many hours going through our ancestors' names and that. It's lovely to see your name in print, it's lovely to go back generations, and that goes back to 1868, and the Townsland and all of that is given, and I know people are very interested in it, and she very kindly has prepared a booklet for each person, and they're free of charge. They're inside at the desk where the books are being sold, and there's one for everybody. And again, Anne, and maybe she's gone with her mother, but thank you very, very sincerely. Tremendous amount of hard work. We had the fun of working on a committee. She did that on her own, a very tiresome exercise, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Anne. Also, a lot of you, when we sent out our first letter, I think, if I remember clearly, that our very efficient secretary sent out the first letter. The request was there, if anybody had old photographs of anything to send to us, we were very happy to get them. And thank you to all of those people who did send them. Now, just in case you think they're up inside in the exhibition, they're not actually. We do have the original chairman, Patjo Greenan, and the secretary, Greta Fanning, who came to our assistance the very day. And indeed, all along the line have supported us and advised us and helped us collecting memorabilia. And to all of you, we say thank you. We're delighted you're here with us. Thank you very much. I'm afraid I forget something. I've been so warned by the committee about the next item that I'm afraid I will forget or say the wrong thing, but I know they'll correct me. And it's just a little word about the rest of the evening. After our entertainment, we have a social in, I'm going to say, Quinn's Lounge, and you can think for yourselves after it's Morden's, isn't I right? Yes. I'm mixing it up all the time. So tonight we have our social in Morden's Lounge, and tomorrow night in McCann's. And I get that bit over first, the drink bit. And also the Fena Development Committee have their carnival on this weekend, so I'm sure they would appreciate our support if we turned into that as well. Now, today, as well as that, we have very kindly been given permission by Malachy Hanbury, who owns the school in Glostermin now. And he's very kindly allowing us to visit the school. We did say between 8 and 10 tonight, if anybody wants to go along there, he will have it open for us, and tomorrow between 7 and 8. Now, say a special thank you to Malachy for that. At 5 tomorrow in St. Mary's Church in Foxfield, we will have our reunion mass. And after that, the school will again be opened here, because I know a lot of people couldn't come today, but will be here tomorrow, and the display will still be on. We won't have a meal tomorrow, unfortunately, but the school will be opened, and Glostermin School will be open from 7 to 8 tomorrow. Right. Am I leaving something out? Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know the books have been on sale inside. They are still on sale. They will be on sale in the local shops. We haven't asked the shopkeepers yet, but I'm sure they'll take them. And also, one of our local people, Hall Moffat, has produced a lovely book, From the Green Rush to the Oxy Bush. I'm sure a lot of you have bought it already. And he will have his book available as well. I beat you to it, yes. If people would like that, I know a lot of people have bought it already, but if people would like that, Paul is selling that. We'll move into the next part of our proceedings. I hope I haven't left out the half of what I was supposed to say, but we're going to get... Paul, are you responsible or am I? We need to put a floor here for the entertainment. So that will take, I presume, about 5 minutes. But just before we do that, I'm just going to mention to you, so I know it's getting late, there won't be a break in the entertainment, and I will thank everybody at the end, but I'm just going to say that we're very privileged to have several groups of Irish dancers with us here.